Alex, if you want to go ahead and put up the agenda, I can open the meeting at least, and we can get through the niceties. There, I can't see the top.
Oh, you are right. There we go.
Okay, I will call the meeting to order at 4:23. A roll call of committee members to establish a quorum. Susan Dominigani here. Nick. Is Nick here? Hi, Nick. Okay. Kyrune.
Kyrune comes here.
Maggie Buckley.
Maggie Buckley here.
Frankie.
Frankie Boisere here.
Frankie Boisere. And Chelsea Parker is on her way. So we've established a quorum. Would someone like to say read the school verse?
This is our school. May peace dwell here. May the rooms be full of contentment. May love abide here. Love of one another, love of our school, love of life itself. Let us remember that as many hands build a house, so many hearts make a school.
Thank you, Kyrune. Any audience to address the council? No audience to address the council. Any agenda modification? Okay. I'll call for an approval of the minutes from January 12th.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes from January 12th.
Thank you, Kyrune. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I will second it. Oh, sorry, Maggie.
That's okay. Either Frankie or I.
I'll flip a coin. Maggie seconds the motion. All in favor? Susan Dominigani, aye. Nick?
Nick Meyer, aye. Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you now. Frankie?
Frankie Boisere, aye.
Kyrune Combs?
Kyrune Combs, aye.
And Maggie Buckley?
Maggie Buckley, aye.
Okay, we have passed the minutes are approved. What's next on the agenda, Miss Alex? Closed session. Okay, we will go into closed session. And there is Tyson. Hi, Tyson.
Yes, I am here and I am so sorry. I will rename myself and my sincerest apologies for being late. Thank you for getting things started, Susan.
Right, so we are just now ready to go into closed session.
Perfect. And Alex, we didn't go into a separate breakout room, right? So now we're just back in magical open session and we, for the minutes, no action was taken on item 2.1.
Great, thank you. I was gonna ask if there was any report out you wanted me to write specifically in the minutes because I only wrote who attended the closed session.
Perfect.
No,
and so Susan, that's the correct
yes, no.
For the minutes,
No
right?
action,
No action was taken.
Right.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much, Charity. We sure appreciate your time and your thorough report or presentation. So thank you.
My pleasure. It was a pleasure to meet all of you, and I will be sure to send the presentation over to Susan, and she can distribute it as necessary. But it was very nice to meet you all.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Well, that takes us into item 3, the financial reports, and 3.1 looks like you, Jim.
There we go. Is the share showing up correctly?
Yeah, sorry, I jumped the gun too soon.
Perfect, no problem, thank you. All right, well, I have the financial update as of January for the year. This is an important one because this is going to be the second interim check-in after this. So this will be the first review of January. After we approve this, then we can convert this into the format for the authorizer. And so fortunately, as you'll see, this is a favorable one. So we're happy to use this for our interim check-in with the authorizer. We're going ahead and including presumed PPP forgiveness in the forecast now. And so including that, we have a surplus of $687,000 forecast for the year. Driven by that increased revenue, revenue exceeds the budget by $474,000. If we remove the PPP and then our ability to take some of that CARES Act money and move it out of this year into a future year, excluding that, we're right about at budget, about $25,000 favorable in revenues. Expenses have trended well below budget. At this time, the forecast looks favorable, $115,000. So if there are some expense increases as the environment changes, there is still room in the budget to absorb that. Cash ended January strong at $546,000. And we have the ongoing note about the deferral environment, which we are entering right now. A little more on that in the cash slide. Key compliance notes, the second interim is going to be prepared presumably for the next meeting after this is completed. And then the consolidated application for federal funding will be completed in February. Not the annual application, which is done in June, but reporting check-in due by the end of February. No real changes related to enrollment and ADA for the year. We're still funded based on last year. And as of this time, our understanding is to assume next year is actual, but it's still just proposal at this point. We have no actual 21-22 funding yet, but favorable proposals. Revenues, as noted, increase really being driven by the PPP. If we remove that and then we moved out 80,000 of the CARES Act money that could be added back, but we're going to move that out right now and assume that's going to be used in 21-22. So excluding those two, 25,000 favorable. Expenses, you can see the favorable trend through January. So opportunity there if costs start to increase. A little note about forward planning. The concerns at the 290 enrollment level. So we can see in that, we can see where at this expense level, specifically related to facility cost on the line item right now, all combined rent plus other facility add-ons, but it's basically the rent in this year's budget was about $600,000, $610,000. So at 290, that's a burdensome number. So just a note, when we look at this as successful expenses in this forecast model, when we start building 21-22, even as revenue increases, if that's the enrollment number, we're going to be concerned about that expense level. Excellent surplus, 687,000 with 80,000 not included. Could be included, could be moved to next year. That would bring the fund balance to 1.2 million. 35%, which we feel very good about. Cash, I know we talk about this every month, still extremely relevant. Good news is I still think there is favorable potential. So I think I put a little more favorable assumptions in this one, and we end at a pretty safe, right at that line, $200,000, $215,000 at the end of June. Cash into January at 546, right about where the budget thinks it would. And then as the deferrals kick in, it's just coming down to timing on, we know what the deferrals are. So the non-deferral funding, other state sources, the timing of expenses, do expenses stay in this favorable forecast? So this model assumes that the organization can make it through these deferrals without any borrowing, and it is within reach. I think the favorable outcome of this is if this were to be slightly more pessimistic and you were to seek additional cash June, July, you're looking at a very small need to borrow. And so you wouldn't have to undertake a large scale financing, that would cost a lot of interest. But I think there's a lot of additional money being discussed right now that's not in this model. We don't know exactly how much it will be. We don't know when it will be delivered or restrictions on it, but there's still a lot of cash out there being discussed. And I think there's a positive upside to this model. One slight negative, right before this meeting started, an email came out from CSFA basically admitting that SB 740 is running incredibly late, as we have all seen. So we will continue to be very pessimistic about the timing of the SB 740 funding. Improved timing would be a good positive. We might knock that 200,000 down. This would still continue to project available cash at June, but depending on other state financing sources really is going to define how comfortable we are with that cash balance the closer we get. And then a large number of compliance notes, but most of these are pretty much automatic. State funding, the SARC's done, property tax exemption has been filed. So our key ones are the CONAP reporting. There will be an ESSER report done by March 1st, and then the second interim report will be due. The balance sheet. Are there any questions about the January financial update?
I'm not seeing any hands raised, either in screen or in the participant list. So that sounds to me like there are no questions. Thank you so much, Jim. I of course have a question because that's what I do. How does July look?
That is a very good question.
Because I know that tends to be one of the hardest months for the school, just in terms of timing and revenue and that money coming in. So
that's really the key, where if we look at a model and we say there's $200,000 on June 30th, and you think, great, I've got $200,000 coverage. Well, that's kind of our minimum July, right? Is I don't want to see June $75,000 because I know July can't make payroll. Depending on where those, I don't want to use the word deferral because deferral is very time, but delay in some of those cash receipts. Some of those may arrive, they may be arriving June when they should have arrived April. They may be arriving in July. So items that aren't actually deferred, they're just administratively slowed down because of just the environment. That's kind of what CSFA said, is that every government department is running slow. So your checks are still slow. But yeah, my goal at this time, if we look just at this model, I would say to be exceeding 200 in June, then we're saying, okay, we can work through July. the positive outcome is that there may be additional sources we're not considering that are going to add on there. But we have to consider, like, are they restricted? And so you may have cash in the bank that you can't use anyways. So still an unknown, but we're definitely taking that into account.
All right, great. Buck, it looks like you have a question.
Hey, Jim. We haven't met formally. My name's Buck. I'm the facilities manager. Nice to meet you. How we're looking, how was this to last year's January? And I've just, in a big picture kind of scale, I've walked out of some of these finance committee meetings kind of lightheaded and distraught. It sounds pretty positive at this point. Anyway, is that a good line of thought? It's like we're looking pretty good. We got our finances in order.
Yeah, I think coming into 2021, it was a lot of gloom. This was a very difficult year to budget, and I'm sure a much more difficult year to actually, operate and teach. And so fortunately, coming out of the year where we are with funding and operations where they are, yes, it has been greatly improved from the very dire projections we began with. The deferrals are extreme, and the fact that we're having a meeting talking about surviving those deferrals with no or very limited borrowing is excellent. I think we definitely would have presumed a greater need for borrowing. So I think the results for 2021 as forecast now are strong, but the cash is still very lean. In this case, though, that's a state issue. So I would say Blue Oak management has done an excellent job of maintaining cash stability, and you're just subject to the situation that the state, every school in the state is having to endure right now. That said, I did want to start warning for 21-22 while we want to be, I don't know what the right term would be, but happy, for a simple term, about the results of 2021. We do have concerns while funding is increasing in 21-22. The current expense model seems to exceed that already at that next year budget. Now, we still have time to develop that budget, but strong results in 2021, I think, are really shown in the strength of the cash relative to the deferrals, but 21-22 is still going to have to rebudget itself in a new environment.
Great, thank you.
Great, thanks, Jim. I had a question on one of the point of sale transactions. I think it was January. The IRS. Can I get some more information on that? Because I thought as a nonprofit, we didn't pay taxes to the IRS.
Do you have a way of showing that?
Yeah, let me get you some more information real fast. Let me just pull it up real quick.
It's probably payroll taxes, because those are the taxes that we pay. When you see IRS on something, it's usually payroll taxes, but it shouldn't be point of sale. It should be automatically withdrawn. So, yeah.
Yep, you're absolutely right. It's a 1,200 ACH transfer. But it just, the way it like read, I looked at that and I was like, that doesn't make sense. But payroll taxes totally make sense. Thanks, Maggie.
You're welcome.
At least you know I'm reading them.
It's been a long week this year.
It's been a long year this week.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah.
I got it backwards.
All right. Okay. Did anybody else have questions? And if not, then I would love to entertain a motion to recommend that the Charter Council approve these financial reports.
I make a motion to recommend the Charter Council approve these financial notes.
Thank you, Frankie. Do we have a second?
I will second it.
Thanks, Susan.
Sure.
All right, then I will call for the vote. Frankie?
Frankie Boisere, aye.
Nick?
Nick Meyer, aye.
Maggie?
Maggie Buckley, aye.
Kyron?
Kyron Combs, aye.
And Susan?
Susan Dominican, aye.
And Chelsea Parker, aye. Excellent. And that takes us into item 4 for business. Susan, would you like to go over the donation? Susan, you're on mute again. There you go.
So we had a $500 donation we would like you to accept from Miss Gladys Thatcher. And I believe that came through the concert we had, did it not, Alex? Or in that time frame?
I think so. I'd have to go back and check on the list real quick.
So I would like to ask you to recommend that we accept this donation.
Excellent. Do I have a motion for that?
I will make a motion to accept the donation.
Excellent. Thanks, Kyron. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thanks, Nick. I will call for the vote. Susan?
All right.
Nick?
Nick Meyer, aye.
Kyron?
Kyron Combs, aye.
Maggie?
Maggie Buckley, aye.
Frankie?
Frankie Boisere, aye.
Sorry about that. And Chelsea Parker, aye. Excellent. That takes us to the California MTSS School Climate Grant Opportunity.
Can I ask real quick? Sorry, I missed who seconded that.
Nick did.
Nick, thank you. And actually, this was after the Christmas event. I think the last one we passed was from the Christmas event, but this is just another one.
Thanks for that clarification, Alex.
Thank you.
Susan, are you presenting the MTSS or is that Jim?
So no, I will present. This is MTSS Multi-Tiered Systems of Support is a program that we began to work on about, well, 4 years ago now. And this includes supports for social emotional learning, which is generally connected to the school climate. The school climate is not talking about whether or not the air conditioners work. The school climate is about whether or not the children feel safe and at the school as far as emotionally. So I am proposing that we give it a try to continue our work on the social emotional piece and the climate piece. This, of course, we all know with first the campfire and now with the COVID pandemic that the emotional strength of the students is definitely needs support. So I'm hoping to be able to apply for this and see how we do.
Well, that is very exciting. And so you'll need us to recommend that the Charter Council approves you to apply for this?
Yes, so it's due actually in a couple of days. So I will have already applied for it before the board meeting, but as is with grants, you do them when you get them. So.
And as is standard practice for you to put in the application, because we can always choose not to accept the money if it's not approved, just for anybody who's not sure about the cart before the horse, but it's not really because we don't have to accept it. So with that being said, I would love to entertain a motion to recommend to the board that we pursue the California MTSS School Climate Grant opportunity.
I make a motion that we recommend the Charter Council to approve us applying to the California MTSS School Climate Grant.
Excellent. Thank you, Frankie. Do I have a second?
I second.
That sounded like Maggie with the second. Quick on the draw there. Thanks, Maggie. Then I will call for the vote. Maggie?
Maggie Buckley, aye.
Frankie?
Frankie Boisari, aye.
Susan?
Susan Dominicani, aye.
Tyrone?
Tyrone Combs, aye.
Nick?
Nick Meyer, aye.
And Chelsea Parker, aye. Great. Very exciting. That takes us now to 4.3, the salary scales.
So we're beginning to review them. This would be to have one for administration as well as updating both the classified and the certificated salaries. I made the choice not to finish this item because I felt after I talked to Chelsea yesterday, there was more detail I wanted to make sure to include. So this will be forwarded on to you as soon as I am able to collect that information. And we're looking at wanting to get these in place before we discuss budget. So within the month of March to take a look at them.
Excellent. Thank you, Susan. I know that there's a lot of parts and pieces. And as I assume you all know, with minimum wage going up now and later and all of that, that there's going to be pretty constant work to be done on these over the next few years. So thank you for that, Susan. Let's go into your report.
And I really, with the focus on the real estate issues, I really don't have any additional report tonight.
Excellent. Well, I think that was enough report for one evening anyways.
I think so.
All right. With that, if there are no other questions, comments, concerns.
Susan, I did want to ask, are we going to continue to get proposals from Charter Impact as they arise for real estate?
Not from Charter Impact. You're talking about Charter Impact.
Oh, more updates?
Yeah. You mean is the Finance Committee going to continue to get updates? That's something that we need to discuss with the board to see what direction they want to go, or if we want to establish a facilities committee to do that more detailed work.
Well, that was very exciting to get some proposal tonight.
Yes, yes. And certainly, Kyron, regardless of what direction any of that goes, any financial ramifications would always come through our committee, even if the totality of it does not. So with that, I will see you guys. It looks like our next meeting is March 9th at 4:15. So I will see you all there, barring anything that comes up prior to then, which we don't anticipate.
All right.
All right. Take care and have a great night, all.
Thank you. Bye.
Good night.